The art community can be one of the most unforgiving communities on the internet, where some YouTubers lose their careers for the dumbest reasons. Though that isn't the case with James Bear, a YouTuber that almost got away with one of the most disgusting acts a human being can do. How did he almost get away with it? And where is James now? Newgrounds started all the way back in the 90s, gaining popularity and making careers for game designers and animators alike. Fast forwarding to 2015, James started off making short animations, originally under the name Jamworld Crew, inspired off of the Newgrounds and YouTube animated series Eddsworld, a series that nowadays is extremely successful, with over 4 million subscribers on YouTube. James gained minor traction from this series of animations he named Jamworld, though James would get so much more recognition and popularity, leaving Newgrounds and moving to YouTube. James, after recently moving from Newgrounds, was faced with figuring out how to grow his YouTube channel and saw the growing trend of the commentary community, and ended up getting huge shoutouts from two big creators at the time, Pyrocynical, a rising Leafy Asir clone, and Luna, being a storytime gameplay channel. James would animate storytimes and other videos of the said YouTubers, adding a new entertaining value to the YouTubers' videos and putting him and his work at the spotlight. Though this was monumental for James' success, James would have his biggest break ever with the series Claire and James. This series would involve James and his girlfriend Claire, and in what all I can say seems to be the biggest gooner bait if I've ever seen it. All of these animations makes Claire's character overtly and most of the animations are about how much the two like each other. There's, in my opinion, not that much entertainment value, and seems like it only got popular because of how James drew Claire's character. Up until this point, James Bear has been on a never-ending rise, and his career was for sure to be successful. Although, that was just the surface, and how James Bear really was behind the scenes was nothing short of depraved. An animator by the name of Awesome Aaron would post a tweet in 2017 announcing some sort of project with just a black picture saying, "The truth." Though this didn't really tell us much, the reality of this project was a nuke to James's reputation, and was a catalyst to the end of his online presence, or at least it should have been. Aaron wrote a 180-page document titled The Truth of James Bear. This document was 180 pages full of schizo ramblings, and a document that should have destroyed James, ruined what actually damning stuff was in there, and James just got away with it at the time. So what exactly led to such a long document and warrant the level of scrutiny James has today? The first part of the document, that is most important, shows screenshots of a text conversation between James and Aaron. I'm gonna skip a big portion because in all honesty, it really isn't relevant. The first screenshot is what seems to be James Bear detailing a disgusting and horrible admittance to doing it with his sister when he was just 13 and blaming what he did on his mental state. It all began in February 2013 when I began to get a little friend called depression. I didn't know it at the time. I did something horrible. I had my sister, which at the time I was 13 and she was 9. If it makes you feel any better, I'm suffering emotionally, and I did it because of depression. Someone told me that depression can't make you do things, and we've been doing it till, I'm gonna say, between 2015 and 2016. I know it's still affecting me. In 2014, I got beat up outside in the cold winter night and got sick, and that sickness could have me. And in 2015, I got sick again. But while I was sick, I cried myself to sleep and I began to lose friends. My depression kept getting to me. My dad emotionally too. And so, January 23rd, 2016, I began to feel like and I nearly took my own life, but I didn't and went to sleep. My friend Alex, I told him on that day that I should have and forgot to tell him because told him I was going to go to sleep. Anyways, Alex got worried and phoned the RCMP, which is like the police in Canada, and they took me to the hospital and they were checking on me to see if I was okay. I was. So yeah, I got sick again, but I'm okay. So yeah, that's what happened, but don't tell anyone, by the way. This is absolutely disgusting, especially when you blame it all on depression, which is a horrible defense. Despite this depraved story that was just detailed, Awesome Aaron, the animator that wrote this document, continues on with the conversation, saying he understands and sympathizes with James, which I just find really weird. Oh my god, I'm speechless. Sorry to hear about that. I'm sorry, please don't be mad. Dude, I will never get mad, especially my friends. I totally understand. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm not a good person. Oh really? What you need to know, that was the past. Move on, think of today. I'm here talking to you because you were my friend. Oh, Oh, but what do you think of it? Really depressing. However, you have changed. An important detail that I failed to mention this far was James' fascination with Awesome Aaron's at the time girlfriend. These conversations are just weird. Why these needed to be made public, I don't really know, though this will be somewhat important context for later on. On the 15th of July 2016, Aaron claims Claire broke up with him, and later on in the document, he says he attempted unaliving on the same day. James in these messages, while Aaron and his girlfriend were together, constantly brought up his girlfriend and seemed to really like his girlfriend, which I just find extremely weird. Why would you still talk with a guy that wants your girl, and that's all you ever talk about? Just seems kind of weird. Regardless, I don't think it's far-fetched to say that Aaron literally only made this call-out post because James stole his girl, and not because of the insane thing he did to his sister. Aaron sympathized with him through these DMs when told about their disgusting action about his sister. At one point in the document, he states that he's getting his revenge and has somewhat of a Joker moment. Please don't tell anyone. Too late. You just told me and Clarissa. I was lucky you told me because now I can get my revenge. I've been waiting for a year. Don't tell anyone. Too late. Too late. You screwed up, freak. This is what happened when you frick with me. This is what happened when you mess around with me. You got a sweet, painful revenge from Aaron. So goodbye, James. Everyone will read that sob story and everyone will know the truth about you. James Bear. The rest of the document is not important and have mentions of James's fetishes, which is just whatever and is not important at all. There's mentions of a Skype call, though this is someone's word over James and lacks evidence, and is, well, for the most part, a nothing burger. The document claims James attacked one of his friends because he apparently got mad because he made his girlfriend laugh, which I just find. From what I could find, James never really addressed this document at the time, with only one tweet, with it mostly going under the radar. Aaron, for the most part, showed how much of a schizo he was the more time went on and really muddied the waters on any allegations he was really trying to go against James with. James would use this to devalue the document, saying that Aaron is really weird and to leave their girlfriend alone before the document ever even came out. Hi, at Awesome Aarons. Thank you for blocking me. It's nice that you'll post stuff about Claire when I'm blocked. It's funny how you hate me. Freaking creep. It's also funny how some people think you're actually 13 when you're really 20 and still defend what you're doing. I'm not going to bring friends into this, because that was, well, a mistake to begin with. Already lost a friend with this bull. He's not a crazy fan too. I just want Awesome Aarons to stop stalking Claire. He's not a crazy fan. We tried to tell him to stop on what he's doing. I don't want him in prison because I would feel bad, but I certainly don't feel bad for what he's saying to me and Claire. Did I mention that Claire was legit scared to be even in the same group with this guy when we called Aaron on Skype? Knowing the context of how weird this guy is that wrote the document, it really muddied the waters on the entire situation. People don't like Aaron because he's a raging schizo, but you also have James that was accused of doing, well, you know what, with his sister. Not to mention that at the time, James had a smaller following and really had not come to light. A message from Aaron had a list of demands that if James followed through, they would take down their document. James needs to make a public apology on Twitter to every single person for harassing me for over a year non-stop. James and Claire, I don't mind which, need to break up, or I don't care, or what. I just don't think it would be safe for Claire dating somebody who had with his sister. Claire needs to remove the @Doodle Jam heart, and James will do the same. That's all I want. 3 simple things. If he does that in less than 24 hours, I will delete the document, apologize, and tell everyone to stop attacking James. This list of demands really shows his true intentions on exposing James. Aaron really only wanted to release this disgusting admittance from James, admitting to doing said things with his sister, for the sole purpose of Claire and James breaking up, and was only made out of jealousy. Seemingly only a day after the document coming out, Aaron would tweet this out saying, "I'd like to publicly apologize to James and Clarissa. The post I created was fabricated and I wrote it mostly just to get back at James. I didn't know the full side of the story and it was wrong of me to leak personal information of a situation that has already been resolved." After this, James seemingly moved on, continuing to post content and growing on YouTube. This entire document was completely devalued because of the ceasefire, and anything in this document we can't really take as concrete proof, as Aaron claims screenshots are faked, meaning we can't trust a single screenshot. Not to mention, Aaron seems to be not all there in the head. James in 2020 would be reminded of his depraved past and when he almost got away with it. On Twitter, a user by the name of BungleBuddy would reply under one of James' posts saying, "This you." In this post, there are 4 screenshots where James seems to be doing the same thing that Aaron said didn't actually happen in their DMs. What was it then? Because obviously it was something big to the point it can get you in jail. We both had, I regret doing it. It emotionally brings me down when I've bringing it up. How would you go to jail for that? I mean, yeah, but at the same time, it sounds like it was forceful. It wasn't because we both wanted to do it, but I'm ashamed for what I did. I might have made some things up because of how scared I was, because of that person spreading this bullshit. But I don't make things up when I say this. It actually brings me down to see people bullying her, and it feels like it's my fault. They obviously don't know, but I feel bad. So much for my sister. Even if it's awkward to even look at her, I just let it slide. And when that immature brings it up, I get so furious and scared. James, you had with your sister. I had so many bring that up. Yeah, I did, but I felt bad. I felt ashamed as well. Then why did you do it in the first place? You knew it was wrong, then why did you do it? It doesn't make a difference. It happened. Things don't just disappear. That's like saying SH. That happened to me in the past no longer matters. Shit stays forever, dude. You gotta live with it for the rest of your life. This conversation was absolutely damning for James. The last screenshot of him admitting it could not be concretely used, and now there's new screenshots of him admitting to the same thing again. This time, instead of just not really responding, James would go to his Twitter and state the following. With what's being brought up about me, I have to admit about the sister thing. It did happen, but only once, when we were just kids and it was consensual. Anything else about me being a minors is not true whatsoever. Those messages are over 4 years old. To a 13-year-old, well, I was only 16. Therefore, I was a minor myself. I made a mistake when I was a kid and I didn't know it was that bad. But those mistakes I made all those years ago don't define who I am today. I'm a completely different person. I'll be taking a break since the threats and the false accusations have taken a huge toll on Claire and I's mental health. So yeah, I just wanted to clear the air on that front. The situation is now a lot different from Awesome Aaron, as we got a response from James Bear where he actually admitted to it publicly, and this horrible defense where he says it only happened once, which why that would make it any better, I really don't know. Another thing to note from this response is him saying that these are false accusations. Allegedly, James would take down this post from his Twitter seemingly after the situation had died down to supposedly move on from the situation, though you can still go to the Wayback Machine and see that tweet. In 2022, James' disgusting situation with his sister would start to gain traction with YouTubers covering it, and everyone starting to, if they haven't already, figure out what James Bear had actually done. James around this time was getting less and less views due to the heat and would upload every several months in between and kind of just sporadically posted. About a month later, James would make a video addressing the allegations, starting off with talking about the before mentioned Awesome Aaron schizo document, saying what we've said before about how the document is completely fabricated.
The creator of that said document even tried to blackmail me afterwards and wanted me to end my relationship with someone they used to date. Doing so, he would retract that said document and try to make people stop harassing me, in which I did not give in to his demands. And for that, I have proof of this, which I will post right here. Whatever I said in the leaked messages was fabricated, and I knew that this person would leak these messages one day with bad intentions.
Though he denied Aaron's document, he ended up admitting to the sister situation and sympathy baiting for having depression for what he did.
When I was a child, I once had an encounter with a family member. It was an isolated situation, and it has deeply traumatized me. When I found out what I'd done, I sank into a depression that lasted for many of my teenage years.
Later in this video, his defense for having conflicting accounts was because he dramatized and apparently changed certain details to see who talked about it. What this is necessarily in reference to, though, I don't really know.
After this happened, I've dramatized details when retelling the story. I changed certain parts because I wanted to see who would and wouldn't gossip about it. So this is why there are some conflicting accounts about what exactly happened.
This is really stupid, and it honestly comes off as he changed his story so that the person he was telling it to was able to digest it better and maybe not get as weirded out. Or James is just a liar, either or, I guess. Though this should have been the end for James Bear, he ended up not leaving the internet, and let's just say the James Bear cycle would repeat itself. James, after a couple of bad responses that to this day have either been unlisted or deleted from his YouTube channel, fired up 2 separate live streams. In these live streams, James would talk about going to therapy and overall coping with his situation. James after this would barely upload to his channel, and he would only upload twice in the span of around a year. Though it seemed like the end for James Bear's career, it was in reality only going to get way worse. This year, a document came out titled Evidence of James Bear's Serial Harassment. The document starts with alleging that James has harassed Claire, where they show screenshots of a text conversation with Claire and James. I'm not going to read out screenshots of this conversation, and instead I'm just going to give you a brief summary, so if you'd like to read anything from this video, all the docs will be linked down below in the pinned comment. These conversations with James and Claire started with James being overly pushy and, well, chronically online for the most part. Like, Claire's trying to do something IRL, and this guy fights with her over not sitting and talking with him on the phone. James would call Claire names and the other things along those lines. The document later goes on to state that Claire tried to break up with James multiple times, with James apparently trying to get back into the relationship, with one of the times he reaching out through her emails supposedly. Throughout the rest of this document is after James and Claire finally have a falling out for good apparently, and James allegedly would find means to contact her in some way, or find out what she's doing either out of pure jealousy, or the guy's like kind of a freak. The document after this details conversations James would allegedly have with these other people, with their first account he used being the Fool. Now, if this is his account 100%, I don't know for sure. The only indicator is the context of the conversations, where it seems to be James and the account before admitting to be James, though I want to be clear, this isn't 100% confirmed to my knowledge. Allegedly, James in these messages would talk about a server he wanted to join with a person named Kosi. Apparently, Hugo, the person that wrote this, reached out to people in the server that claimed James was a manipulative liar, and later on James allegedly claimed soon after that apparently it's the opposite from what people are claiming in the server, and Claire's apparently a liar. After this, the document claims that James would mention everyone that followed Kosi and give his side of the story. So far in this document, they only show him allegedly doing it to Hugo, and the only thing they have for it is someone's testimony. The document then goes on to claim that James allegedly ran an account called Unokosi, supposedly to mock and harass Claire and the new person they were talking to. Though I don't see much proof of this being James's account. When you try to search for this account on Twitter, nothing really comes up. Another thing to note is that all of these screenshots but one does not show a date. So if you were going off of the one tweet that says it's from January 30th, this would most likely be around the time that James and Claire aren't together. The claim of him manipulating her into getting these screen caps seems unsubstantiated, only unless there's some sort of proof to that we haven't seen yet. They also claim that James Bear was on what seems to be 4chan, though again there's no proof at all that this is his account. Though the message from this account saying that "who says I'm actually James Bear" seems kind of weird, but that's not enough to claim that that's his account at all. And the final account that they show is an account called Snazzle Dazzle, which again I literally cannot find it all on Twitter. The next section is apparently from Kosi, where he shows a screenshot of what is allegedly James spamming the crap out of their DMs, where he doesn't respond at all, which I find pretty funny. There are other screenshots that are mentioned of James DMing, but I don't think that we haven't already mentioned in the document. Towards the end, the document talks about how James drew Claire's, which, I'm gonna be real, is not a new thing whatsoever. But the big takeaway is some weird vent art and shows names of the people before mentioned drawn in James's art style. This could be another bit of proof to prove that this is James's account, though again it could also not be. Around the time the document was released alleging harassment, another document claiming to be James's sister came out, stating the following: "I'm writing this document to come forward with that my disgusting piece of shit brother James Bear has done to me. Yes, I'm unfortunately his sister, and I despise him greatly. Before any of you think that this is another cassette girl situation, it's not. Unlike Lex, I actually have proof and everything to back this up. Okay, here's a picture of James's desk, and here's a picture of his silver play button. That's it for proof. Now I do gotta point out, although I do think that the silver play button, along with one of the drawing tablets, is pretty convincing, though I do want to say these are just allegations. It could be possible that this was photoshopped or something else, though I view the Photoshop pretty highly unlikely. Though if this story we're about to read is true, it completely contradicts James's narrative. At the age of 9, I was R-worded by James. I don't remember much about it, but that's when it started. It continued for a long time, especially past 2016. James lied about this part when he addressed it. I wish I had done something to stop him, but I couldn't fight back. I was a weak young girl whose innocence was stolen by a of a sibling. No one was there to protect me. I had no one to trust or get support from, and if I had said something to my parents, they probably would have gotten mad at me and not put James far away from me. One time in 2019, when I was lashing out at my mom, I told her what James did to me. She was like, forget about it and move on or some shit. Don't you know how damaging that was for me? To have my own mom say that to my face? Now, this is absolutely horrible. I don't know what their mom was doing, and seems like pretty horrible parenting skills in all honesty. The mom probably didn't want to turn in James to the police if this document is true, but regardless, there should have been some plan to get James away from this person. Again, if this story is valid. Anyways, back to James. He did some pretty disgusting acts that I'm not going to get into because of monetization purposes, but pretty much everything you can think of. And he did, of course, hurt me while he was doing those said acts. It made me feel disgusted. Sometime in 2015, I went on his iPad Touch and checked the photo gallery only to see P-word of some characters from Adventure Time, Star vs. the Forces of Evil, Samus Aran, and Hatsumiko. It was filled with mostly, again, words I can't say on YouTube. Remember when I said James continued essaying me for years? Well, it was still happening at the height of his popularity when he released his No Nut November animation in late 2019. While you were watching it, I was being essayed. Last attempt of James essaying me was in September of 2020 when he asked me to come near his bed and I declined, so I went to another room. I always felt pressured into not letting James do those horrible acts to me, even if I consented to it. No one taught me that wrong, nor could I avoid him. There was even some times where James said he would give me something in favor of letting him essay me. Most of those times he wouldn't live up to his promise. Closing thoughts, I want to stay as far away from James and never look back at his abuse. I'll be leaving this Ko-Fi link down below if anybody would like to help fund my escape. After this document came out, this account that tweeted was gone for a short time and has come back. I'm almost positive this is their account and it's currently locked. Apparently this person that claims to be James Bear's sister would put out a tweet stating, "Me and my family have talked about the situation and it would be best to not talk about it anymore. I caused nothing but stress along them and they don't deserve it. I take full responsibility for my actions, especially with doxing them. I only did it because I was upset, but that's no excuse and I will never do it again. So please, if you came to my profile to ask me anything about it, I suggest you don't bother." Now, if we're under the impression that this is James's sister, their family or even James could have told him to write this or something other contributing factor we just don't know about. Now, where they apologize for, in quotes, doxing their plaque and their drawing tablet, I find pretty dumb, if that's what they're referencing to. Regardless, I'm pretty interested to hear James's side to the sister document, along with the other document regarding alleged harassment. Though seeing he blacked his PFP and banner on everything like a 14-year-old, I don't really know if we're gonna get one. In conclusion, James is a disgusting human that did some pretty bad stuff with his sister. The documents alleging harassment are all allegations as they currently stand until James Bear responds. The document that claims to be his sister, again, seems pretty damning, but again, I'm still waiting to hear James's side, as much as everyone else should be. But without wasting any more of your time, it's been Amos. Peace.